Do you want Android on your face? When you're already looking at it far away, it's like away from your face, but it's not on your face.
Yeah, I'd like it as close to my brain as possible.
Then do I have a product for you?
So I think the big interesting thing we got to try this week with the MKBHD video we put out, Project Moohan, Samsung's headset collaboration with Google and Android XR. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, I have so many questions about this.
I have all the answers.
Okay.
Yeah. So I tried to put as much as I officially know in the video. We don't know things like the exact release date or the exact price. We don't know a couple final details on things like field of view and resolution. I can just tell you like what I thought looking into the headset. But most of what this experience was me getting to try it and use Android XR and Gemini on a premium-ish Samsung-built headset. And yeah, it looks a lot like a Vision Pro.
Yeah.
They clearly were inspired by a lot of parts of the Vision Pro, but they did improve on some stuff like the battery, even though it is a battery tied to the side and in your back pocket. It's a removable cable. It's USB Type-C. You can pop on another battery, which is pretty cool.
Can you plug it into a wall socket?
You can.
Okay, cool.
Well, the battery that comes with it had another USB port on it that you can plug into the wall.
So you can't put the cable directly into a...
That's a good question that I didn't get an answer to. I would imagine you can,
Okay.
but I didn't get an official answer.
Because it'd be cool if you could plug it into like a laptop as well, and then you have lower latency of some sort of screen expansion.
True. That's a great point. Yeah, the cable's long enough to plug it into a laptop for sure. I don't know about a wall, but it's a cool idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they made this headset a while ago. They've been finalizing it. It's near final, so what we saw and what I put in the video is probably basically what you're going to get when you eventually get to buy one of these things, and they'll name it, and it'll come out, and it'll be some Unpacked event later this year probably.
I was just going to ask if this is the name they're going with.
It's probably not going to be called Moohan. Yeah, so Moohan...
Or no, Android XR.
Oh, Android XR, the platform name, yes.
Google's
Okay.
That is
That's
the
official.
name of the software officially, yes. The Moohan is a code name. It means infinity, and it's a code for this infinite canvas that you get to play with, which is kind of cool. But it's not the name of the product. So
Is reality really an infinite canvas?
Technically, yeah. I
The
would say
universe
so.
is expanding, Marquez.
It's an infinite and expanding canvas.
So, questions.
Yes.
Okay, so something the Vision Pro does really well is that when you're looking through it, the frame rate is high enough that it doesn't really feel like you're looking through a screen.
Right.
It kind of just feels like you're walking around and the quality is a little bit worse than real life.
Right.
How does that feel through this headset?
Yeah, okay. Couple notes. One, the resolution of the display was pretty good. I would say a notch below Vision Pro, but it's pretty crisp.
Okay.
The overall pass-through from the cameras was good enough. It wasn't stunning or amazing. Vision Pro is definitely better. Like when you look through Vision Pro and pass-through, you feel very close to just looking through some blurry glass or something. This was, a notch below that for sure. But they did something interesting, which is they let you take off the bottom of the eye seal, and that gives you this peripheral vision where light is coming in on the sides and the bottom. And for some reason, that made it feel better because your brain sort of fills in the bezels around the display with the rest. So if I'm looking at a wall and I see through the middle the pass-through, and then my peripheral vision sees the outsides of the wall, my brain kind of fills in the gaps.
Kind of merges them in a way.
Yeah, which is interesting. So I prefer using it without the light seal because of that. But generally, decent B+ pass-through, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So we actually just dropped today an Apple Vision Pro bonus episode. Go watch that if you haven't.
Watch it.
But one thing that the developers were telling us is that Apple did a good job at making Swift easy to code in for iOS apps, and when they released the new headset that you could just know what you're doing over there.
Yeah.
Did they mention anything about that with the Android version? Are they going to
native coding?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the details that I got from the team are, number one, all Play Store apps are compatible. Off the bat, no extra code, they will work.
Just as a little window pop up?
Yeah. So I went to the Play Store, I downloaded a regular phone app, and you could just pull it up and use it like a normal phone app, change the aspect ratio, scroll around. It works. But there obviously would be a benefit to having optimized apps, so what they call spatial apps. And a bunch of the built-in apps are optimized, and apparently it's a few lines of code to update your app to be optimized for spatial. And then you can go crazy customizing and adding way more stuff. But the YouTube app, for example, was a spatial app. It chose to curve the window a little bit. It added these floating side panels for related videos and comments. And then you could add a background for an environment that you're in and then watch YouTube videos in this like floating background on a mountain. Not as high fidelity as Apple's, just not as good looking.
Okay.
But cool feature. So my understanding is that it will be pretty easy to make spatial apps, but if you don't update your app at all, it will still work on the headset.
Do you think this is the reason that they haven't made a YouTube app for Vision Pro? Because they want it to be exclusive to an Android XR headset?
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean,
that's a pretty huge thing, especially since they shut down the third-party Juno player.
My question is, what's a better experience? Watching YouTube in the browser on Vision Pro or a built-in YouTube app on this Moohan headset?
Right, because in Vision Pro Safari, they have a special like window mode for a video player now.
Yeah, so you can watch a video full screen with a background kind of exactly the same way you do on the Moohan headset. It just won't be curved.
Right.
But you can change the size, make it huge, make it further away, closer to you. It's similar.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I feel like a player, like an app, is going to have better UX design as well than just the website in a window. So
the second you have to move around the actual browser, it's better on the Samsung headset.
Better on the Samsung headset?
Yeah, because I don't want to have to move around YouTube.com.
Right.
With my pinching and scrolling.
I hear what you're saying.
So, yeah,
cool.
That's an interesting thought.
Okay.
But I enjoyed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Other questions. Did they have any sort of group stuff you could do?
No, none of that was demoed. No.
Okay.
I would assume no, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it took Apple a while even to start building these like shared experiences, and SharePlay is like their magic sauce that like works kind of cool with certain apps. I had no shared space experiences with like another person in a headset interacting with the same model as me.
So no personas.
No personas.
No crazy personas.
That's a good question. I didn't make any video calls, so I don't know what that would look like to the person on the other side.
Maybe they just haven't.
They just see your eyes really up close.
Yeah, there was, I was in there playing with the headset for maybe 2 or 3 hours. I didn't get to do everything. Video calls is not something I got to, but I did play around with some stuff that's not in the video, like just web browsing and poking around the stock apps and things like that, throwing apps all everywhere. Honestly, my biggest takeaway was, damn, Gemini, this might be the most useful thing I've done with Gemini.
Just because you can interact with it with your voice?
It can actually poke into the UI of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it seems like it can actually move into spatial apps and like use the UI for you inside of spatial apps. But I could ask Gemini to clean up my windows, and if I had 6 windows, it would line them all up next to each other. That was great. I could ask it to open an app and open Google Maps and show me this thing, and it'd do that for me. If I was looking at something in pass-through, like a painting on a wall, I could say, who painted this? And it would just pull up a web browser and Google something like, who painted this? So it was pretty like hands-free. Obviously, it still has eye tracking. It will still have controller support. But the complete lack of having to do anything with my hands and just talk to the thing was
interesting.
Surprisingly nice.
That was something I noticed for your video. So you said that you basically just have to put it on, do the eye alignment thing, which takes like a second, and it automatically does hand tracking.
Yes. Okay. Hand tracking is automatic.
So you don't have to do the whole Vision Pro thing of like, look that way, look up, look down, put your hands
For
around.
eye tracking, you do have to do the looking at the dots to dial in eye tracking. So by default, eye tracking was actually off, and I was doing everything with my hands. And so I'd point my pinched fingers at the subject and select things, which is a lot of arm movement. Obviously, in Vision Pro, you straight away set up eye tracking, and you never really do that. You can do essentially the same exact setup. It's like looking at a bunch of different dots around the screen, and then it's all right, we can see your eyes now.
Okay.
And then you can do the same sort of stuff.
Does the eye tracking feel as precise as on Vision Pro?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same magical look at something, it's highlighted instantly, move around the UI with your eyes, and you can see like things like highlighting as you look at them.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Okay, so when Vision Pro came out, it definitely felt like a very magical type of technology. Do you think that this feels like it's exactly caught up?
If the Vision Pro is an iPad Pro, the Project Moohan headset is a Samsung Galaxy Tab. So if you love the magic of this is a super thin piece of hardware that is actually a computer and is amazing that it can do all these things on a display, you will feel the same thing with the Galaxy Tab. There are certain things that Apple does in their own ecosystem that are another level of magic on top of that, whether it's SharePlay or shared experiences or whatever apps that you're using. that will not quite be the same on the Google one, but Google has Gemini, Google has YouTube, Google Apps built in. It has that extra functionality to make up for maybe not being as magical.
Right.
So it is very functional. There's no way it costs $3,500. I think this thing is going to be $2K tops.
Right.
Probably less.
Right.
And I think that's going to be a big reason people will consider it over a Vision Pro. But yeah, not as magical. I think that's fair.
Interesting. I guess the relevant comparison could be like ChatGPT to Gemini, where because Google has all of these Google apps that Gemini can tap into and it already has all your data, it's more useful than just like a platform.
Yeah. In certain ways, yeah. It's cool. And I still want to play around with it again and try things like searching inside of apps. Like I wonder if I could ask Gemini in the headset about an old email, and I wonder if it would go into the email app and like search through that and find it. That would be amazing, because essentially it's just pulling up an instance of Gemini Live,
Right.
which is the conversational thing that's on your phone already. So I imagine whatever that can do, this can do in the headset.
Yeah.
And since it's multimodal, I can take a picture on my phone and it can search that. Well, the headset, it's running pass-through all the time. Gemini Live can see that.
Yeah.
And so I can just ask about something I see.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential, I think.
And when you were talking to Google, did they have like a specific positioning for why this is useful to use? Because Apple never really defined what it thought the Vision Pro was best suited for.
It's true.
And I feel like it tried to figure that out after it launched it. It was like, this is great for media consumption, but also kind of work. And as they have updated Vision Pro, they've updated the categories that they found people were using it for more. But it still isn't that defined. And I feel like that's part of the reason it is not doing well. Did Google have like we want people to use this for work, we want people to do this? Like, do they have a positioning for this thing?
It was mostly centered around Gemini. I think if you asked them, they would mostly tell you, like, this is the best way to use Gemini. You could use it on your phone, you could use it on your tablet, or you could just use it on a pair of glasses or a headset that you're wearing all the time, and it's always able to talk to you. So I think their pitch would be it's the best way to use Gemini, and that's
it reminds me of your AI pin part, like the part of the video where you ask the AI pin to name the car, and then you just pull out your S24 Ultra and it does it faster.
I think there's some instances where this is the best way to use Gemini, where you're in a world where you're walking outside with this headset on and a car passes in front of you. You literally look at the headset and go, "What car?" You just look at the car and go, "What kind of car is that?" And Gemini can see the car you're looking at and can tell you right away. I had a clip in the video where I held up a book.
Yeah.
And the book had a picture, and at the bottom it said like the name of the art, the name of the photo, and where it was taken. And all I did was pull up the picture, look at it, and go, "Can you take me there?" And it understood that context, understood that it was a location, opened Google Maps, searched that location, and then took me to that location in Google Maps.
That's pretty cool.
So if it's able to do that sort of parsing and understanding and carry out actions into apps on my behalf, I think that's the pitch.
That would be cool. I would like to see what the limits of that are outside of a contained space.
Totally.
Also,
Yeah.
Do they have any sort of like workspace expansion stuff where they can expand your laptop screen or anything like that?
Did not hear about that.
Okay.
Didn't hear about that.
Interesting.
I would be curious what happens if there's any screen mirroring, or if I plug it into a laptop, what happens? Because I didn't get to do that either.
I want to see their first ad for this device because I need to know what they're trying to tell people to buy it for.
That's a great point. The ads say a lot about what they imagine people use it for. I did get to connect a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
And there wasn't like a computer also, so it was just me using the mouse and keyboard to move around Android XR apps, which is cool. But quickly going from like pinching something and then typing on a keyboard and then a mouse, all of that it was very fluid.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm curious about that first ad too. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Huh.
Okay, I got 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, were you able to look at a bright thing and then back at a not so bright thing?
Yeah, good question. So like you said, this was a very controlled environment. And in the interest of getting as many shots for our video as possible, we basically stayed in this evenly well-lit room.
Yeah.
There was a display in the room. I could look at it and I could look around very quickly, and that seemed very fluid. But I don't have any memory or footage of like looking at a super bright light and then something dark. So I don't know if it would handle it the same way as Vision Pro. I kind of imagine it will, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of trying to balance out exposure quickly and hopefully not peak.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Do you think that this is like from what you experienced and going back to what their first ad is going to be, is this basically just a dev kit again, just like how the Apple Vision Pro was?
Yeah, it's basically a dev kit. I think that's accurate. Honestly, right now they are using this headset as a dev kit, and that's where you'll see it right now before it's shipped. But yeah, it feels like, okay, Vision Pro is out, Quest 3 is out, there are headsets that are out in the world, and if we want any sort of advantage or if we want people to use our platform, we need people to develop for it. We need to get something out in their hands. This is the first headset that has Android XR. Take it away, developers, make awesome stuff. And then hopefully that leads them to making magical, amazing apps that make you want to use it.
Like, the Vision Pro problem still applies when it's Android.
Yeah.
So I just really need to know.
But it applies at half the price. Probably,
hopefully less.
Maybe less.
Because even at $1,750, this thing is way overpriced.
Yeah, but for a cheaper AR, VR experience, you get the Meta Quest.
Yeah, all the way down to $350, $300. Yeah.
Plus, if you can't plug this into a computer, like, Android
I'm sure
apps
you'll be able
are
to like
great,
mirror
but-
your Chrome tab or something, you know?
Because right now the Quest can already have your computer display.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to have that feature in this headset. But also, if you're gonna charge more than the Quest, then you have to be able to do more than the Quest. And the Quest has a huge library of games. That's like what they're really good at right now. And obviously, the work aspect is okay. You can computer mirror. I would imagine that this kind of gets positioned as, yes, you can work in it, but also you're just going to get so much done with Gemini all the time. It's going to be the super useful thing that helps you all. You're going to want to walk around the office and write emails while your hands are in your pockets.
Yeah, but the problem is this thing is so big, just like the Apple Vision Pro. Like, how long until this is in a pair of Ray-Bans? Like, if they're just going to put Gemini in glasses.
Yes.
You know?
Okay.
Right.
Great point. And I think this will be probably the last big point for this.
Okay.
Android XR as a platform can be in a bunch of different form factors. So in this video, I said that Project Moohan, think of it as like the Pixel or the Nexus or whatever of this platform, meaning that it's an example for a version of the hardware you can put it on.
Yeah.
But there will be, from other manufacturers, higher end versions, lower end versions, different form factors. We were, I think, maybe having a conversation about PCs. Maybe was this last week on the podcast? But like desktop computers are still a big thing that you put on your desk. And people will buy higher end components or lower end components, but they'll just run Windows again at the end of the day.
Right.
And so Android XR will run on smart glasses too. But if it's on smart glasses, you will have less total functionality. You can't watch a movie on them. You can't see the Gemini UI as easily. It'll just be text-based instead of like this whole animation thing. So there are pros and cons to different form factors. But the idea is they're introducing Android XR, and then hopefully the hardware ecosystem blooms and the developer ecosystem blooms, and then everything's blossoming at the same time.
So more of, instead of trying to crash the VR and the smart glasses into each other, you're just saying, we're just going to run on all the types of platforms.
Yeah.
Like all the types of headsets. That you can
Exactly.
run.
Yeah. Android XR is the base software layer for all of the future AR, VR, XR experiences that will come in the form of headsets, glasses, etc.
Okay.
Google. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you want Android on your face? When you're already looking at it far away, it's like away from your face, but it's not on your face.
Yeah, I'd like it as close to my brain as possible.
Then do I have a product for you?
I want to be able to say, hey, Gemini, subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that like button while you're at it.
Would you
And
still
then-
see the animation?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, that's worth it.
Hands-free, it just does it, and I watch it, and I feel really good about it. So, like, I watch a clip from the podcast, and I just tell it to do the thing, and it does it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
It would subscribe and it would like?
For sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would it comment?
It would do all the things that you're doing.